They built illustrious careers across the arts, medicine, science, music, and law, pushing the fields forward into new possibilities. While America is far from perfect, it has become the second largest homeland for Jews in their long history. It's home to around 7.5 million Jews, according to the Pew Research Center, igniting a golden age that rivals even the great Jewish communities of the past.
Out of the 10 richest people in the world in 2025, according to Forbes magazine, 5 are of Jewish descent. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, Larry Ellison from Oracle, Larry Page and Sergey Brin from Google, and Steve Ballmer from Microsoft. Not bad for a population of only 15 million people worldwide. Also, even though Jews make up less than 2% of the population of the United States, year after year they account for around 20% of the list of the 400 richest people in the country. But beyond these super rich tycoons, are Jews wealthier than the rest? In the United States, 54% of Jewish families have an annual income of more than $100,000.
Greetings one and all. Super Thursdays here in the Holy Land, in the holy city of Elon Moreh Shechem, right next to my holy yeshiva. We are on the 9th day of the 12th month, Adar 5786. This is part 5, if you could believe it, because it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And we're trying our best to get this finished, God willing. Okay, as always, the class is for the sake of heaven, to remove the divine presence from the exile, to improve ourselves one small step. In our times, one small step is one gigantic step of yesteryear. Our sponsors, the 24/7 volunteers of Israel, of the Jewish people, they do not sleep nor slumber. You got it, Mike, and the great volunteers. Also, the great blog, Palm Tree of Deborah, that's one word.com. Check it out. If you don't have time, make time. Well worth your time. This class is a response to a debate that was held a little bit over 2 months ago between two very prominent rabbis, one from Los Angeles and one originally from New Jersey, who moved to the center, to the heart of the land of Israel, near Gush Etzion, Metzad. Approximately 49,000 people saw that video. Let's just go half and half agreed, half disagreed. We have to reach 25,000 people over here that disagreed. So please, as you know, we are limited by YouTube. Our exposure to our classes are always limited and restrained by their exposure via YouTube. So you are the vehicle. You're the man, you're the woman. Get it out to as many venues as possible. Spread the word. It's of the utmost importance. Okay, our previous 4 classes, these are the subjects that were discussed. 1, centrality of the land of Israel. 2, ramifications of Abraham moving to the Holy Land. 3, a comparison of commandments done in the land of Israel and outside the land of Israel. 4, delving deeply into the words of our sages. One who lives outside the land is likened to a foreign worshiper. 5, a simple person in the land of Israel is greater than a giant outside the land of Israel. 6, building up countries outside the land of Israel. 7, Maimonides did not include the commandment to live in Israel into the big 613 book. 8, the land of Israel overriding many heavyweight commandments in the Torah because of its importance, because it is equal to all the other commandments, because of its importance to the Jewish nation. We are a nation in the land of Israel. Without that, we are just communities. Okay, today, that was in the past. Check out, God willing, every class underneath has a link to the great debate a little over 2 months ago. Check it out so you'll know what we're relating to. And number 2, there will be a link to all the previous classes, so you don't have to look far in order to find them. Okay, today we are on point 9. The great Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Zatzal, righteous blessed memory, in his unbelievable work, Igrot Moshe, Even HaEzer, Volume 1, question number 102. Rabbi Feinstein says the following. As is known, those that don't should know, Rav Feinstein was one of the greatest, perhaps the great Gadol Ador, the giant of the generation in America. He says the following: if one moves to the land of Israel, it is a commandment. You are observing, you are committing a positive commandment, fulfilling a positive commandment. But if you do not go and move to the land of Israel, you're not transgressing a commandment. It's called a mitzvah kiyumit, a optional or a voluntary commandment, similar to the commandment of tzitzit, the 4 garment strings that we have. If you have a garment which has 4 corners on it, then you are obligated to put on the strings, the tzitzit. But if you don't have that garment, then you are exempt from that commandment. Just to add, it does say in the Talmud that during times of God's fury in the world, a person could be, for example, it gives an example of the commandment of wearing tzitzit. If we did not bring ourselves to be obligated, we could be punished in a time of fury in the world. So we all know that it's well worthwhile to observe even those optional commandments. Okay. Actually, the source of this idea is earlier, the Minchat Chinuch, the famous Rav Babad, in his commentary on the 613 commandments, commandment number 325 in Leviticus, portion of Emor, regarding not sitting in a sukkah on the holiday of the tabernacles that was stolen. And then he gets into this voluntary discussion of a voluntary commandment. Sukkot, on the first day, the first night actually, a person is commanded to be in the sukkah. On the other days, if you eat, then you should eat, if you're eating bread, you should eat in the sukkah, and you receive a mitzvah for that. If you don't eat, you're fine. You don't have to be in a sukkah, and he takes it away from there. Okay, I want to quote, I think these are pretty exact. They might be 98% correct, but they're pretty exact. Quotes from the very impressive Rabbi from Los Angeles. We make our decisions based on halakha, Jewish law, the poskim, the Jewish law codifiers, not midrashim and stories of Rabbi Kook. Number 2, a quote from that great debate. All hold that living in the land of Israel is a optional or voluntary commandment. Have you, turning to the Rabbi Michael of the land of Israel, have you heard of this? Number 3, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky had his view on the land of Israel, and Rabbi Moshe and the majority of Jewish law authorities, the poskim, today for the black hat world had another view, that the commandment to live in the land of Israel is not obligatory, rather voluntary. Quote number 4, the Rabbi of Los Angeles tells us, if you would bring the Chazon Ish, that would be substantial. Okay, so those are 4 quotes from the debate. We will first take the earlier rabbinical codifier, law codifiers, and then later, till our times, almost our times, passed away in the last 10, 15 years. Our first goal here is to put into the proper box who Rabbi Feinstein, with all his greatness, and he was great, who is he up against? Rabbis, law codifiers that did not take the position of Rabbi Feinstein that this is a voluntary, if you want to, if the conditions, etc., but rather put it black and white, this commandment to live in the land of Israel is obligatory. So this is putting everything into the proper perspective. Reminding all of us, the earlier sages, called the Rishonim, is from approximately 1040 to 1492. The list that I will bring down now of 13 law codifiers are all earlier sages, okay? Heavy hitters. So let's take it from the top. Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, he lived from 1075 to 1141 in Spain. And he made the long journey to the land of Israel, where he was killed at the entrance. In his classic book, the Kuzari, which is a philosophical book, but also many laws are learned out from that book. He was asked by the king, aren't you transgressing a commandment by not going to the land of Israel? Rabbi Yehuda Halevi answered, yes, you have found my guilty spot, as this is a sin. This could be found in the Kuzari, the second lecture, paragraph 23. Obligatory commandment to live in the land of Israel. Number 2, Rabbi Baruch, the son of Rabbi Shmuel. He lived in the time of Maimonides. In the book Shita Mikubetzet Haner, not to be on the tractate of Bava Kama, page 80, side A, not to be confused with the book, the 13-volume classical Shita Mikubetzet, which was came out in the 1500s. He writes there in black and white, Rabbi Baruch, the son of Rabbi Shmuel, that it is an obligatory commandment. Number 3, the great rabbi of Ashkenazic Jewry, German Jewry, Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg, lived from 1215 to 1293. He was the leading Jewish law authority of his generation. He writes, if parents disallow, prohibit their children to move to the land of Israel, the children, like any other commandment in the Torah, do not have to listen to a parent if they come, even though we're commanded to honor our parents and to listen to them, be obedient to them. If they go against the laws of the Torah, we are exempt. This is brought down in his Q&A, question number 79. Amazingly, Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg, he endangered himself, his family, and his community. Many of them tried to escape and move to the land of Israel. When Rabbi Meir, when he arrived in North Italy, there a Mishumad, a Jew that, so to speak, converted to Christianity, recognized Rabbi Meir and turned him into the authorities. This was at the time of the German, what do we call him, emperor. His name was Rudolf I. In 1285, this attempt to escape Germany and to go to the land of Israel, for 7 years, Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg was sat in prison, and only some years later was redeemed, and he died in prison, and his body remained in prison. Some years later, a simple Jew redeemed the body, and he is buried today, even though after World War II, the tombstones of Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg and this person that had, for a fair price, ransomed the body are buried together. Still, after World War II, still exists. One of the top students of Rabbi Meir of Rothenburg was the Mordechai, Rabbi Mordechai, the son of Hillel. He lived in 1250 to 1298 in Austria. In his commentary, the Mordechai, on Bava Batra 656, it is an obligatory commandment to live in the land of Israel. Number 5, Trumat Hadeshin. Rabbi Yisrael Isserlin, 1390 to 1460. He was one of the leading rabbis of his entire generation in Germany. In his Q&A, question number 88, he writes the same conclusion. commandment to live in the land of Israel. 6. The Rashba, Rabbi Shlomo Aderet from Barcelona, in his Q&A, Volume 1, he addressed this question twice. One question was question number 134, and the second one was 248. The Rosh, Rabbi Asher, son of Yechiel, lived in Germany. He was one of the top students of Rabbi Meir of Rottenburg. In many places in the Talmud, he brings down the commandment to live in the land of Israel. He lived from 1250 to 1327. 8. A student of the Rashba, 14th century Spain, Rabbi Yaakov Skilly. He amazingly wrote that even if a person has to beg for charity in the land of Israel, he should trust in God over living a comfortable life outside the land of Israel. Now, this is very interesting because there were great rabbis that said if the conditions are unbearable, as they were in the land of Israel for the last close to 2,000 years, so then because it's unbearable, it's called anus. You're exempt from the commandment. A person's in a place where it smells and he can't get out of he's locked in or something to a room. You cannot pray, you cannot learn. Doesn't mean that it's not a commandment to pray or a commandment to learn Torah, but right now you're exempt. So comes Rabbi Yaakov Skilly, top student of the Rashba, and he says, no, it's better to beg, be a pauper in the land of Israel than to be comfortable outside the land of Israel. Amazing. This could be found in the book Torah HaMincha of Rabbi Skilly, lecture 34. Number 9, the Ran, Rabbi Nisim Girdoni of Barcelona, 1320 to 1380, in his Q&A book, question number 38, ditto. The Rivash, number 10, Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Sheshet, lived also in Barcelona, like the Ran, Rabbi Nisim. He lived from 1326 to 1408. He was a student of the Ran. He was considered to be the Gadol Ador, the leading sage of his generation. Two places in his Q&As, question number 101 and question 387. Check it out. Number 11, the Tashbats, Rabbi Shimon, the son of Tzemach Duran, lived in Algeria from 1361 to 1444. In his book, Zohar Rakia, it's a book on the commandments of the Torah, commandment number 226, the Tashbats' son, the Rashbash, Rabbi Shlomo Duran, lived 1400 to 1467 in Algeria. In his Q&As, questions number 1 and number 2. Last but not least, the Meiri, lived in France, Rabbi Menachem Meiri, on his new commentary to the tractate of Bava Kama, page 80, side B. He lived from 1249 to 1316. Now, so that was 13 Rishonim, early sages, that do not go in the path of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. Now, we're going to discuss Achronim. So we're talking about past 1492. Number 1, the Maharit, the son of the Mabit, Rabbi Yosef Matrani. He lived from 1568 to 1639 in the city of Safed. In his Q&A, question 28, volume 2. Number 2, the Shlach Kadosh, Rabbi Yeshaya Horowitz, 1558 to 1630. We have to take a little bit of a pause here. The Shlach Kadosh was amazing. The Shlach Kadosh was one of the leading rabbis during his time, and he had thousands of students. He was also well-to-do. There were, for each meal, he had at least 80 people at his table. He was a person of royalty, of honor, of respect. So he left that all. He left all of that. All of the honor and respect, and he was an ambassador, a dignitary. He left it all to come to the land of Israel. When he came to the land of Israel, there was an evil head. This is during the Ottoman Empire. There was an evil head of state. He made the life of Jews, both Sephardic Jews and Ashkenazic Jews, life miserable. There was a famine in the land in his time. He arrested the Shlach Kadosh, arrested him. They were cruel to him. They beat him up. They put him into prison. And they searched for him. After releasing, they wanted to rearrest him. He had to run away from Jerusalem to the holy city of Safed. He writes in his book, the Holy Letters, in the Shla book, the Holy Letters, under the letter of Kuf, of holiness. He writes there that it is a positive commandment incumbent on all to go and move to the land of Israel. A person that gave it up all. Think about today what is going on amongst the religious people outside the land of Israel, the amount of materialism. And here is a person that experienced all the materialism and gave it all up to come to the land of Israel. We should be embarrassed. We should be embarrassed. We would not come to a land of Israel that the Shlach HaKadosh came to 400 years ago. We're coming to an Israel, a land of Israel, that you go through nefesh b'nefesh who do great work, and they're with you the whole way. They're helping you out. 90% success rate of people staying here in the land of Israel. How can we look ourselves in the mirror? Listening to the Shla wasn't alone. The list goes on and on and on of great people, the Ramchal, the Ramban, and their stories, Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, and we could continue on and on. It wasn't just the great ones. Oh, I'm not as great. Oh, I'm not like the Ramchal. It was simple people that put their lives on the line, that came here in diseased conditions. Bartanura, it took him 3 years. Everyone learns their Mishnayot with Rabbi Ovadio of Bartanura. It took him 3 years to get here, not 10 hours, not 24 hours if you come from Australia. I mean, really. It's embarrassing. Okay, moving along. Q&A. Mi'il Tzedakah, question number 26. Fourth, the Jewish law book. There is a dispute who authored the book Kolbo, but there are 150 laws there, and in Law 127, he discusses the obligation to live in the land of Israel. The book that is loved in the Yeshiva world, the Netivot Mishpat, so those that don't understand Hebrew, the Nesivos. Rabbi Yaakov Lobrabam, the rabbi of Lisa, Poland, in 1770 to 1832. It is brought down. The Khatam Sofer, Hungary, 1762 to 1839. In his New Torah pieces on new laws in Yoredea, questions 233 and 234. Number 7, the Stei Chemed, who wrote an encyclopedia, an amazing encyclopedia. He lived from 1832 to 1904. He made his way to the land of Israel. He lived in Jerusalem. He lived in Hebron. He writes in discussing the laws of the land of Israel. Paragraph 9, that was Rabbi Chaim Madini, brings it down. Commentary on Jewish law, on Yoredea, on Choshen Mishpat, on Even Ha'ezer. The Rabbi Avram Eisenstadt lived from 1812 to 1868 in Russia. He writes that before he sat down to write his Jewish law commentary, he looked in over 180 Q&A books of the great rabbi, the great Jewish codifiers. 180 before he sat down and wrote. So we have to listen up closely to what he writes. In Even Ha'ezer, 75, paragraph number 6, he writes the following. It is explained and agreed by all the law authorities, Rishonim, earlier sages, Achronim, later sages, that one today can coerce their spouse to leave outside the land of Israel to the land of Israel. Not like Rabbi Chaim of the Tosfot wrote in the tractate of Ketubot that there was no commandment to live in the land of Israel. So this is brought down by the Pitchei Tshuva in the name of all law authorities earlier and later, okay, that these laws apply today. One can coerce their spouse to leave outside the land of Israel, to come to the land of Israel, or to stay in the land of Israel. That is because it is a positive commandment by all authorities to live in the land of Israel. Next, the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law. This was Rabbi Yosef Caro, Spain, and then later the land of Israel. Safed, 1488 to 1575. He is the bridge between the earlier sages and the beginning of the later sages. He writes in 5 places that there is a commandment to live in the land of Israel. Number 1, check it out. In Even Ha'ezer 75:5, coercing one's spouse, brings it down as law. Yoredea 267:84. A servant wants to go to live in the land of Israel, he can coerce his master, his boss. Orach Chaim 248:4. It is permissible to travel even on Friday before the Sabbath to the land of Israel, since it's a commandment, even though we are nullifying, as we mentioned in our previous class, class number 4, that there are two problems with traveling not only to the land of Israel, but just traveling, because number one, it makes a person nauseous, makes a person sick, and then you have you do not enjoy the Shabbat, and there's a dispute whether enjoying Shabbat, an Oneg Shabbat, is rabbinical or is from the Torah. And also, there is a good chance, if you leave on Friday, that you're going to have to desecrate the Shabbat. You're going to have to continue traveling with your group, whoever you joined, to get to the land of Israel. So those were two problems there. For the commandment of living in Israel, permissible. Next, law number 4 by the Code of Jewish Law. Orach Chaim 306, Law 11, buying a house on Shabbat, having a Gentile sign a contract in order to buy a house in the land of Israel and settle Jewish people in the land of Israel, removing it from the hands of the non-Jews. Last but not least, in Yoredea 228, paragraph law number 36. If a person made an oath, against living in the land of Israel, made an oath living in the oath against living in the land of Israel. So we have 5 laws from the Code of Jewish Law, the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, moving right along. The Gra, the holy Rabbi Eliyahu of Vilna, he wrote on the Code of Jewish Law. We quoted on Yoredea 267, Law 84. This is a comment by the Gra, comment number 161. He agrees with the Code of Jewish Law, the fact that a person can coerce their spouse, or a servant can coerce their master to come to the land of Israel. The top student of Rabbi Eliyahu of Vilna was, of course, the Pe'at Shulchan, and he writes there in his book Pe'at HaShulchan in the first chapter and paragraph number 9, that the Gra considered it a commandment to live in the land of Israel. So we have the Gra himself and the top student of the Gra. 11, the Ramah, Rabbi Moshe Isserlish, in Even HaEzer 75:5, which we quoted before, coercing one's spouse, he does not, the Ramah, Rabbi Moshe Isserlish, does not contradict what Rabbi Yosef Karo in the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, wrote. Now, this is brought down in the Q&As of Shoel Umeshiv, Rabbi Natanson. He writes that this is a sign in that the Ramah, the Ashkenazic law authority, brought down in the Code of Jewish Law, agreed that there is a commandment to live in the land of Israel. This could be found in the Q&As called Shoel Umeshiv, Volume 1, Question 151. The Code of Jewish Law, the Chavetz Chaim, as mentioned before in a previous class, 4 different times, the Chavetz Chaim, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan, tried to come and move to the land of Israel. One time, the leading rabbi of the generation, Rabbi Chaim Ozer, told him that if he left, that the Jewry of Europe would be destroyed. And he didn't leave. The third time, he didn't tell anybody, so nobody would be able to stop him. Even so, unfortunately, his daughter became deathly ill. So therefore, he was not able to come to the land of Israel. His students, he sent belongings of his to the land of Israel. There was a house in the city of Petach Tikva that was prepared for him. It is brought down by the Chazon Ish. We quoted it in a previous class. We will quote it in a minute. That how much, when the Chazon Ish spoke about the obligation of living in the land of Israel, he also brought down that how many times the Chavetz Chaim, 4 times, tried to come and live in the land of Israel. So the Chavetz Chaim wrote, of course, the commentary on the Code of Jewish Law. It's called the Mishnah Brura, and he writes in 248 laws, paragraphs, 28 and 35. And also, this is talking about traveling before the Sabbath. And in the paragraph 306 of Jewish law, paragraph 47. This is about buying a house on Shabbat in the land for settling the land of Israel. Okay, as far as the Chazon Ish is concerned, he was, of course, passed away in 1953 in the city of Bnei Brak. Was considered to be the leading rabbi of the generation. He wrote in a few places, I'll just mention 2 of them, in his Igrot, volume number 1, letters, I guess we could call them, in his letters, volume number 1, letter 175. The commandment to live in the land of Israel was decided by Nachmanides and Maimonides and the rest of the law authorities. Number 2, he writes this in Laws of Foreign Worshipping, 65a, in Yoredea. We are obligated to live also during the time of the exile in the land of Israel. Very clear that the Chazon Ish held that it is an obligatory commandment. We are obligated to live, even in the time of exile. Okay, moving further along the timeline, we have Rav Eliashiv and Rav Vazner and Rav Kanievsky, who wrote the following. In Orach Chaim 493, it is permissible in the land of Israel to buy a house during the period where we count the Omer, due to the commandment of living in the land of Israel. So those are 3 giants that the entire world, I'm not talking about secular, the entire religious, the entire rabbinical world looked up to Rav Eliashiv, Rav Vazner from Bnei Brak, and Rav Chaim Kanievsky. In the book, The Greatest Gift, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, in that book, it's in English, about the land of Israel, the praises of the land of Israel, living in the land of Israel. There are 36 pages dedicated to Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky's Q&As with people over the decades regarding the obligation to come and move to the land of Israel. Amazing stuff. People that were in charge of communities, people that were in charge of children, of education, come. Okay, once again, I just want to summarize on one leg what we just discussed now. The earlier sages and the later sages to almost our day. Rabbi Kanievsky passed away a few years ago. Also, Rav Vazner and also Rav Elyashiv Zatzal. Once again, Rav Moshe Feinstein, the great Rav Moshe Feinstein, he has to deal with all of these opinions that go against what Rav Feinstein is saying. Those that took a more direct approach at tackling what Rabbi Feinstein was saying, that we're going to deal with now. Okay. Number one was the chief Sephardic rabbi of the land of Israel, the tremendous sage, tremendous gadol ador, putting it lightly, dozens and dozens of books that he wrote. The amazing Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. I summarize from the pamphlet Torah Sheba'al Peh, the 11th volume, in the year 1969. Also brought down in another book called The Journeys of Rabbi Ovadia, pages 327 to 328. I summarize in English, of course. I'm surprised at the words of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. We see in the Mishnah, one is allowed to coerce a spouse to come to the land of Israel. One is allowed to coerce a master to come if so desires the servant. Therefore, it is a mandatory commandment for every religious Jew to come to the land of Israel. Okay, that's a heavy hitter. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef kind of tackles Rabbi Feinstein straight on. An amazing story, written, not a story secondhand, not a story from a mikvah. I heard from somebody who heard from somebody who heard from somebody, a person that was there, a rabbi that was there. This is brought down, an amazing story of Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda Kook Zatzal. This is brought down, black and white, in the book Mashmiah Yeshua, pages 240 and 241. Rabbi, at the time this took place, he was not a rabbi, he was a student in Oretz Zion, which is the southern part of Israel. He was a student there after being married. Rabbi Mordechai Alon had a conversation with Reb Tzvi Glatt. May God avenge his blood. I happened to be a student in the Kiryat Arba Chevron yeshiva. It was our custom every Friday night we would dance down from Kiryat Arba. We would dance down to the Cave of the Patriarchs. There we would dance and finish the evening prayers. One week that we went down there, there was a awful, tragic attack on Jews that were dancing down. 6 Jews were murdered. One of them was Reb Tzvi Glat, who had written a book called Mikimi, which was a response to Rabbi Feinstein's answer in Even HaEzer. So Rabbi Tzvi Glat was shaken up when he had read the words, the response of Rabbi Feinstein. His friend, Rabbi Mordechai Alon, told him to calm down. Tomorrow, I'm going from southern Israel. I'm going to Jerusalem. I will go and speak with Rabbi Tzvi Yehuda Kook, the son of the first rabbi of the land of Israel, Rabbi Avram Yitzchak Kook. And I will show him this response of Rav Moshe Zatzal. And that's exactly what he did. Took a bus, went up to Jerusalem, and he entered the study room of Rav Tzvi Yehuda Kook Zatzal. And as soon as Rabbi Kook saw that there was a book, Igrot Moshe, written by, I think it's a 6-7 volume Q&A. He saw a volume in the hands of Rabbi Alon, and he began to tell stories and to praise Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. After that, Rabbi Alon showed question number 102. He showed Rabbi Kook his response of Rabbi Feinstein. And I quote from the book. Once again, this is not hearsay. This is a person that's there. He's alive today. He was there. There are other witnesses to this also. As when Rabbi Kook was reading the answer of Rav Moshe Feinstein that it is not an obligatory commandment to come to the land of Israel, it's a voluntary, optional one. I quote, he turned white like a ghost. Rabbi Alon said, in all the years, I have never seen anything like it. Rabbi Kook did not lift his head. He closed the book and asked me to leave the room. His whole essence, his whole being was affected by Rabbi Feinstein's response. Whoa. Rabbi Avram Kahana Shapiro, a former chief Ashkenazic rabbi of Israel, a great Torah scholar, in his book, one of his books, Minchat Avraham, chapter 44, he relates directly to Rabbi Feinstein. A commandment is obligatory. It's not up to a person's decision. We see that Rashi writes in Tractate Rosh Hashanah, page 28, side A, commandments are a yoke on a person to do God's will. It's a yoke. It's not whether you like to, whether you feel like it, whether you're into it. This is not, the commandment to live in the land of Israel is not similar to the commandment of tzitzit. The commandment of wearing strings, fringes, it is a person's choice to wear or not to wear, to be or not to be, a four-cornered garment. That's true. But the buck stops right there. If you wear a cornered garment, you are obligated to. But God only gave that choice. Once you have a garment, you are obligated to put on the fringes. This is not at all similar to the commandment to live in the land of Israel. There are certain commandments in the Torah that you're not obligated to do. For example, if you don't have a house, you live in the desert, you don't have to put on one of those mezuzot, those little scrolls on your door. If you love your wife, you don't have a commandment to get divorced. Yes, there are commandments that you need special details, circumstances in order to fulfill or not fulfill them, but not like. And once again, this is a long answer by Rabbi Avram Shapira Zatzal. Well worth your time. Check it out. Totally a commandment. One of the 613 commandments is not up to our discrepancy whether to observe it or not observe it. Next, number 4, Rabbi Shaul Yisraeli, a contemporary. He was a Jewish law codifier. He was the head of the Merkaz Harav Yeshiva in Jerusalem. He writes in his book, one of his books, Eretz Chemda, the first gate, the chapter 6. Today, since the Jewish people have returned to the land of Israel, there are no longer relevant reasons that certain law authorities proclaimed as deterrent. Amongst the overwhelming opinion of Jewish law codifiers, it is a commandment from the Torah, and not only a regular commandment, but a greater commandment, since it is equal to all the commandments of the Torah. We spoke about this in our last class about, amazingly, how many commandments, laws are overridden by the commandment to live in the land of Israel. So what was once correct by various Jewish law codifiers, various limitations, restrictions, or whatever, today do not apply. In modern day land of Israel, do not apply today. 5. Rabbi Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg. Once again, a contemporary, a Jewish law codifier. He was he was in the great rabbinical court of Jerusalem. In his book, one of his books, Kovetz Beit Aaron v'Yisrael, the 97th volume, page 135. He writes the following: there are commandments that one only has to fulfill them if we meet certain conditions. If you do not have a house, you do not need one of those little scrolls on your door. No mezuzah is needed. If you do not have cornered garment, you do not need to put fringes on their corners. But to say that you are not obligated to come to the land of Israel, but if you do come, you get a mitzvah. That is exactly what Rabbi Feinstein wrote. To say that it's a voluntary, it's a conditional commandment, I have not found such an idea. By the way, I forgot the name. There was a rabbi that brought 10 cases which the rabbi who brought them thought that they were similar to the point that Rabbi Feinstein was bringing, like tzitzit, the fringes, the strings, like mezuzah. Rabbi Zalman Nehemiah Goldberg took all 10 of them, and he eliminated all the possibilities that they are similar to the commandment of living in the land of Israel. 10, he just knocked them all down. Last but not least, we mentioned it, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky, 36 pages, check it out. Questions and answers about the obligation to live in Israel, where he had discussions with all types of people. Okay, we're not going to go into it right now, but our next, don't touch that dial, our next class, God willing, is going to be on a quote of the rabbi from Los Angeles, when he asked, what about Rabbi Feinstein? What about the Lubavitcher Rebbe? What about the Satmar Rebbe? Did they just blow it? We will discuss the following. Matters. Number one, how can it be? These are the greats. Who are you? Once again, God forbid, I am dust compared to these giants that were mentioned. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Satmar Rebbe, Rav Feinstein, that goes without saying. But God forbid, I'm not saying my own words. I'm saying the words of great ones. So I'm just hiding behind their skirt, so to speak. Because you have to explain it. You have to try to explain it, to understand it. 100% correct? I don't know. But we have to give an explanation. Try to give an explanation. Okay, so these are a few avenues that I'm going to be taking the next lesson with God's help. Number one, do we not see in the Torah the Jewish giants from Abraham down through the prophets, down through the scriptures? They all made mistakes. And of course, the great ones that were mentioned, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Satmar Rebbe, and Rav Feinstein would all agree that they would be considered to be dust in the eyes of our forefathers. Number two, we are told in Tractate Sukkah, page 52, side A, amazingly, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, attacks small people, but more so, great people. That is amazing. We would think the opposite, that us little people, our evil inclination does extra overtime, works overtime. No, amazing. The bigger you are, the bigger the danger is. According to the Sefer Charedim, he brings, when he discusses the commandment to live in the land of Israel, he explains amazingly that every time the Jewish people, if we look in history, every time the Jewish people, from the time of the Torah down, always there is a spiritual inclination that's out there to stop our redemption. Amazing. Every time that happens, if we notice it, Amalek comes to try to stop our redemption. Now, God forbid, these great people, okay, these great rabbis of blessed memory, okay, they're not Amalek, of course, but to take the point that there's a certain spiritual push to try to stop the Jewish redemption. Once again, this is subconsciously. Next, we spoke in our first class, we hope every class is first class, we spoke about the fact that every generation, we brought down sources, every generation has its challenge, has its commandment that is difficult to overcome. And in our generation, it's, of course, the land of Israel. So there's a spiritual pull in our times to stop the settling of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. This is brought down in the Tractate of Sanhedrin, 102, side B, where we are told that the evil king who, so to speak, came back to speak to one of the Talmudic rabbis and say, if you were around in my time, not only would you fall and worship and do foreign worship, but you would run. I at least tried to stop myself. Amazing. So there's a certain spiritual pull that affects various generations, which are hard to overcome. Number 5, if we look at an example of returning after 70 years of exile, we have returned after 2,000 years almost of exile. What happened during that time? The Jews did not come back. Did the righteous come back? No, simpletons came back. We will discuss that also. Are we having a repeat of that story? Or in the times of the Holocaust, how many rabbis spoke up? There were, and said, leave. There were, but they were a minority of a minority of a minority. And last but not least, there is a concept based on the book in the scriptures, Mishle, that sometimes, with all good intentions, God, so to speak, blinds the eyes of the righteous. And we will discuss why is that. That is mentioned by Rabbi Akiva in Tractate of Gittin 56, side A, in the decision of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai to accept, to not ask for Jerusalem. He asked for 3 various items, but did not ask for the home run. Okay, so don't touch that dial. We will be back.